Guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on the YouTube account and we're going to be looking at the Treasure Scramble. Now overall, we know we have a new iteration of this, which is the grass or the Forbidden Forest. This doesn't make a difference really where you choose. You want to make sure that you're going in here. The beginning scramble is in 1 day. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at a guide that is over on Reddit. Make sure you bookmark this. I'll put a link down below. It is a massive guide for the Treasure Scramble itself. So let's go ahead. I'm going to hop over and we'll break this thing down. All right, guys. So here is the Treasure Scramble Teams Volume 2. As you can see, it is from AFK MP or AFK MP14. Definitely check out that YouTube channel right there for AFK Arena as well as TikTok. Big shout out. I know we've covered some of MP's guides before, so it is really cool to see. Now, this one is, of course, the Treasure Scramble team. Now, we're going to break this down team by team by team, depending on where you are. So looking at our first one, which is the REM comp, you can see there's a main comp, the alt comp, and there is a budget comp. So really, this is going to be for anyone who is playing the Treasure Scramble, depending on what heroes you have. Now, this, of course, is and really focuses around Ulna and Rem. They are two very high priority heroes within AFK Arena. Rem is still one of the absolute top tier, followed by Ulna, which should be your #1 priority when it comes to the Challenger store. Now back here we do have Ezio. Now Ezio, of course, is the insta-kill hero, meaning that he made a big resurgence in PvP. Then we have the awakened version of Leica in here, as well as Demia to keep everyone alive. Now we know in this formation, Rem is a little bit squishy. That is reason why Rem Ulna works incredibly well. Demia keeping them alive. And then of course, Rem and Leica in this formation, the awakened version of Leica, does an incredible amount of damage. Rem comp is used all day. There we go. So you can see the notes over on the side. Not going to run through all those just so you can go ahead and see them. And this is going to be very prevalent to what iteration we're running. Now we have 4 different variations when it comes to the Treasure Scramble, so you do have to pay attention to exactly what we're using in here. Now, the alt comp is running the awakened version of Sophia and Tarnos. Now, one thing you do have to remember, Naruko is in here as well, is what heroes are falling in what formations, and what are you alting into different comps that are going to be in other comps. That is the reason why when I build this out, or when I go through these guides, build the main ones first, see what you can build with the main ones, then see where you can kind of fill in or some of the subs. So even here, we do have the Panda Dumpty right here. We do have the Shroom Spooter as well as the Wing Lion right here in the bottom. Now looking at the subs, of course, if you don't have Leica, it is Sophia. But if you don't have Sophia, it is Joan or it is Yennefer. Now Yennefer is kind of an older school comp that we've seen before running in here, works incredibly well, and she is very PvP in nature is where we've kind of seen her. Now, if you don't have Ezio, you can put the awakened version of Athalia, or you can put Naruko in here. But again, I kind of look at like the awakened version of Athalia might be somewhere else, Naruko might be somewhere else, so definitely knowing what you have in here. Now, when using Rem with Dims, go ahead and swap that in there. And then, of course, if you don't have Ulna, when using Ulna with the Seal Stall. And again, these are some of the subs that you'll see in different comps as we continue to go through this guide. Now, second one we look at is huge, guys. The awakened version of Shemira works incredibly well. And this is one that I have run for a long time now. Works incredibly well in a bunch of different places. And of course, it has the Shroom Spooter. So we're looking at the awakened version of Shemira. Anissa and Rook still making a very prevalent place in AFK Arena. A lot of times when you're running earlier comps, what I mean by that is running 2 or 3 teams. Most players will run the alt comp in there because it is super strong. When you start getting into, 4 teams, 5 teams, 6 teams, this is the main comp that you want to be running. 2 teams are a little bit easier, but again, when you start getting into the combinations, it works well. Now, the awakened version of Shemira, of course, a huge priority within AFK Arena. We do have Olgath in here, so look at the subs for Olgath. I know a lot of people did not build him. Lady Simona in here works in perfect synergy with, of course, the awakened version of Shemira, and then Ivan to go ahead and buff up Shemira even further with that shielding ability. Sometimes it'll fall on Olgath, but overall my Shemira is strong enough now that Shemira will actually get Ivan's buff. And then, of course, the Shroom Spooter is going to keep everyone with the taunt ability, making it work incredibly well. Now, this, again, is a very strong variation that we see because, of course, it has Lucilla and it has Liberta in here. Works super well. And then, of course, the budget team still running the combination in here with the 5 Greyborns and then running the Talus main in here. Now, subs for this one, again, we do have Athalia, we have Naruko, and then we do have Oden in here. And again, you have to pay special attention to where these heroes are being Edwin works well, but Edwin does require a pretty decent build out to be effective. The original version of Aziz and also Robin Hood are regular subs that we see in here. And then, of course, Valkyrie. So Valkyrie is right down here at the end as a sub for Lady Simona. Works pretty well. Gavus is in here as well. Again, when it comes to PvP heroes, this is the place where Valkyrie really does shine. Gavus, of course, another hero really strong in PvP, works incredibly well. So make sure, again, that you're paying attention to the notes. Then we get into the dims. This is where you're going to see kind of a pretty solid build out with the dimensionals because, of course, we're still running Albedo in here. Now, Albedo and Lucilla, we have Liberta in here, and then, of course, we have instant crowd control from Emilia, and then we also do have that damage mitigation right there from Merlin in the back, working incredibly well. Talisman across the board, absolutely love. And if you don't have Albedo, which I definitely recommend you getting, especially if you do have to garrison her, I would absolutely garrison her. Then we have the Awakened version of Lucius in here. And if you don't have Lucilla, we actually have Brutus in here. Again, Brutus kind of falling a little bit down the tier list. Now, the alt comp, of course, breaks out Lucilla and Liberta, getting rid of both of those, and puts in Robin Hood and the Awakened version of Sophia. And then the budget one here, of course, is Joan and Mulan. Now, Mulan is a very good sub for a bunch of different formations. Just the way that she works, it does work very, very well in combination with some of those other heroes. All right, so getting into page 2, we do have the Awakened version of Belinda. This is another one super strong, and it's kind of interesting because in this comp, we have actually seen this run and built incredibly well with Gavus because, of course, the damage mitigation factor. Now, we have Rowan in here, interesting enough, with Halos and with Rain in here. That's not one that I usually see together. Depends on how you're running because you can see we have Jerome, we have Halos, we have Aziz in here, we have Ivan. There's a lot of different heroes that you can run within this formation. And I think Rain has been a little bit replaced by Jerome. Overall, that again kind of is a sub in here with Jerome. You have Rowan in here as a few. Now looking at the alt comp, of course, this is running with Alna in that Awakened version of Belinda. Thing with the Awakened version of Belinda, if you're running her up front, she's going to get crushed unless you're running her with Alna. So if you're not using Alna in that Rem comp, this is going to be the place that you're going to run it within this alt comp. And then, of course, the Awakened version of Leica in here as well with Aziz for that energy battery. Pay attention to the pets in here, Shroom Spooter. We do have the Rock Lizard, which notoriously goes with that Awakened version of Belinda. And then, of course, we do have our Fox Fatale, which is right there. Now, of course, subs in here, Lavatoon. We see Lavatoon run a lot in this formation. Ivan as well. Rain, definitely some very, very strong heroes to run in this formation. Now, the Awakened version of Lucius, this is another one very interesting. So this is kind of where Lavatoon moved, but you can see Jerome and Lucius in here. This really makes a big difference because you have to get Lucius up to the point where you can really get a lot of damage. Now, we're running the SP effect. We've started to see him a couple different places, also running the Nightmare Corridor, the Cursed Realm. And then, of course, the crowd control right here from the Ice Crown makes a really, really big difference because the crowd control factor we have in here allows Lucius to do a lot of damage. Now, you also notice that Gavus is back here. We have the original version of Aziz and, of course, Jerome. Now, alternates for this. Now, this combination right here works incredibly well. The Awakened version of Lucius with Aethys works super well because of the crowd control aspect. And then, of course, Nevi in here for the buffs and the support. Tarnos in here, very strong when it comes to PvP. Now, Tarnos is unfortunately one that I never did build, but it does work very well because, of course, Nevi will buff up the pillars that he puts down with a lot of crowd control and a lot of damage from everybody else, including the SP effect that we're going to have right there with Lucius. Now, of course, subs Naruko's in there. We do have Lavatoon. Now, these two kind of go together, and they have for a long time. But you can see if you don't have Nevi, you can do the Awakened version of Solus. And then we also do have Palmer in there. Now, main comp started to appear a few days ago in the fog. A lot of top 3 tier heroes were using this comp. So definitely making sure that you check that out. Now, burst comp. This is what we were talking about with that Awakened version of Athalia. She is such a strong burst hero, especially depending on the team that you're going against. If they don't have the immunity, the Awakened version of Athalia can burn them down super fast. We do have buffs in here from the Awakened version of Athalia. Have Athel in here for buffs, Palmer in here for buffs, and then, of course, Matria If they die or if they're treated as hypos, going to get some additional buffs right there. Now, this again is an older school comp when you look at PvP. Zolrath run with the Awakened version of Leica works super well for the delay coming in, meaning that the Awakened version of Leica can actually burn down a lot of different heroes. And then the Awakened version of Thane, this combination of Athalia is what replaced this Awakened version of Thane. But again, looking at heroes like Amelia could be used in a couple different formations. But the subs in here, we do have Zolrath, and the dancers are in here. Pretty interesting. I know I do have them built, but I haven't used them for anything. Then we have Naruko in here. There's Amelia. And then, of course, we do have Sonya back here. This is an old combination when we ran the Awakened version of Thane back line with Sonya back line, or Sonya front line, to actually buff up what Thane is doing. And then, of course, we have the Awakened version of Leica, and then the dancers in there as well. All right, guys, a few more team comps in here. Seal stall comp. Now, this, of course, is huge. This is one that I actually use a ton of times, is the stall comp. Now, we've seen this rise with really this combination right here, where Baden does some crowd control. With Thorin, you have to kill twice. Taylene, you have to kill whenever she comes up. Brutus is a mountain, very tough to kill. Flora, of course, nerfing the haste. And then the whale, or the slumbering seal, is what you're looking to really kill everyone in here. There's a lot of different variations in here. A lot of players do run the Matria comp in here because, again, very similar to the original version of Taylene, Matria is going to come back to life. Even if you don't have that, you could put in the Awakened version of Taylene, for the simple fact the only thing you're trying to do here with the stall comp is trying to get the Slumbering Seal to do damage. That is really it. And of course, there are a ton of subs in here depending on the stall team. Now, of course, we did have Brutus in here, was one of the original stalls. We do have even down here, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but I know she has that immunity. Desira. Desira has an immunity. PvP in here with Baba Yaga. Some very, very tough teams to beat with this stall team. And then, of course, Frost is a little bit different because of the debuffs we have. There's the budget. But Tria 1, make sure, again, that you kind of pay attention to those notes. And a couple other comps. Now, these are comps that we've seen that have been run in the past, have been run pretty successful depending when you do or how you have heroes built out. Because even looking on this side, this is the original Matria comp, which was just broken when it came to PvP. Since then, a lot of these heroes have either fallen down the tier list or they've been kind of broken up into other teams. Olgas in another team, Kanice and Rook in another team, Matria's in another team. Works very well within a couple ones. And then, of course, we have Shroomspooter in there for the taunt. Now, the Invade team, this, of course, is based around Scrag's ability. Don't know if we're going to get an Awakened version of Scrag or if it is going to be Nemitsu, but we'll have to see. But essentially, all of these heroes will stay on the enemy's side the whole entire time. And also looking here with the pushback and also with Joan going straight to the enemy side will work incredibly well. Now, again, looking at some of the older school comps with the Greyborn comp, right here running the Awakened version of Baden. We do have Grez within this one, which unfortunately we're not seeing him very much, but we have the Owl in here. We have crowd control with an immunity right there in the back. This is another one that was kind of an older sub in here. Running Solus with the with Nevi works incredibly well because, of course, here Tarnos does have his ads of the pillars, and we have Baden that also has the ad as well. So they will receive the buffs that we have from Nevi, and then, of course, the Awakened version of Solus will keep him alive while Palmer is buffing up within this formation. And if you don't have Tarnos, we've actually subbed in right here with the hero, and again, I'm kind of drawing the blank on that. I'll remember in a second. But because Mishka has wolves. Wolves will get the buffs as well, which we know is coming from Nevi. And then, of course, if you run Aethys in here as well, it would be very, very strong just for the crowd control if you're not using them anywhere else. Now, this one, twins, might be twins. But yeah, you're running both in here, Liberta, and it is running Lucilla. Both of them together. You have Aethys in here, of course, for the crowd control. And then we do have the twins or the single dancer in here with Thane. Going to be interesting to see exactly what that looks like. And then, of course, the Awakened version of Sophia right here, again, running Tarnos. We do also have Melkry, and we also do have right there Robin Hood within this formation. So the final one in here, guys, again, big shout out to AFK MP14. Check out his YouTube channel. Team rankings by the debuffs. You can see kind of who you're building and what we're going in. So when we just started right now, here is the Forest team. So the Forest really has a different comps that you're using. So when you're going through Team 1, Rem will be one of the good ones with Shemira. So if you're planting and putting these two in right at the very beginning, then you can put the dims, then you can put your burst. It's going to make a difference on how you're kind of putting these in there. Now, of course, one thing to note before we conclude, this is a general guide. So the formations in here do work incredibly well. We've seen them work very well. This is going to be very dependent on the heroes that you do have built out and where exactly we're going to see them. Also, we don't know exactly if the new Graveborn hero is going to be used anywhere because Braun is going to be up when the Forest does release tomorrow. So pretty cool. This is not a typical guide. I love that it puts there from AFK Crowdsource, AFK Analytica. Very cool to see. Now, these are, again, teams that the top players are running. Ranks include the top 100 to the 1 to 3. Now for us, we've been about 100 or less is where we've usually seen. And again, there's a lot of things that are going to go ahead and change this a lot, which of course is going to be based on the beast that you have built out, depending where they're at, where the elder tree is. It's going to make a very big difference when it comes to exactly who you're going to be using within all of these game modes, because it's going to be very dependent, one, on the heroes that you have built, where your beasts are built out, who you have engraved, who you have plus 40 signature items, all of that said and done, what it's going to look like. But guys, I hope it helps, gives a little bit of direction. Again, I'm going to leave a link to the guide down below. Make sure you are bookmarking this. It is very, very important that you bookmark these, because what happens is they go up on Reddit, they go up on Discord. Most of them are pretty short-lived with the guides because they get pushed down by all of the people looking for teams or looking for comps or check my account, who should I build? All of those things kind of just spam some of the important stuff further down. Usually within a couple days, it's harder to find them. So definitely bookmark this. But all right, guys, so that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.